You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Welcome to the AZREIA Show. My name is Mike Delpre, Executive Director of the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. And today, we're going to talk about why your first deal should not be a flip. So as you're sitting in your car listening to this episode, or you're sitting at home wondering why would Mike say a flip shouldn't be my first deal, let's break it down. All right. So if you're planning to get into real estate and you want to fix a house and flip it because you're probably watching, these television shows, HGTV, that's the joke, or you're it's inspiring. I did the same thing, right? You're watching someone hang out, have fun, make $80,000 checks, and you're sitting in a cubicle or wherever it is, hating your boss. That's very appealing, and it's a good inspiration. However, but let's break it down a little bit. Or even you're on TikTok, you're scrolling, and it's just like, oh, I make this, I do this. They're in real life, they make big checks. That's what everyone talks about. Yes, it can happen. Yes, it's there. Yes, people are doing it. It's real, by all means. But let's just talk about when you're getting into the business and you want to do that first flip, right? So let's break that down. So people think it's easy money, right? Buy low, fix it up, sell high, 50,000, 100,000, and I'm done. And then, the next step people usually get into flipping for is, they want to quit their job, but they also want to get passive income and get cash flow and buy rentals. So they want to flip first before they get there. So why am I saying maybe you shouldn't flip a house first? Flipping is, I like to say this when you come to AZREIA, it's a business, right? It's not people treat it like it's a hobby or a project I'm working on after work or whatever it may be. I got some money saved. I'm going to try to make 50 grand, right? So it's a business, and there's a lot of skills that you need in business, and especially in the fix and flip business. You're learning how to find deals, talk to agents, talk to wholesalers. You got to know what a deal is. How much should you pay for the deal? You have to know construction, right? You got to talk to contractors, trades. You got to manage a budget, right? Some people are struggling to manage their own budget at home and they want to go flip a house. So you got a budget, taxes, bills to pay, timelines to stick to. Then you got to sell the house, right? Then you got to understand what a good agent is and know what the house needs in order to be sold. So all that's happening at once. I think what it is like from the day you buy the ugly house to fixing it up and the whole process to selling it, like 40 people get paid in that transaction. Are you a leader? Are you going to be able to stay on top of all these people and make sure you're getting a fair deal, make sure their bills they're paying them or they're getting the job done on time? It's a lot, okay? While you're doing all that, think about this. You're using your own money. You're risking your cash, your hard-earned money that you saved and worked for. You're borrowing someone else's money, so you got to be a good steward to someone else's money. Maybe you're borrowing from a hard money lender, right? There's holding costs every month. There's bills every month that you got to pay outside of flipping the house's bills, right? Your mortgage, right? Interest. And then if you make mistakes while all this is going on, your profit goes down, 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 down. And in a hot market, I remember COVID, right? Just that whole time frame when it was just supply and demand, real estate supply and demand. Everyone's jumping into the Phoenix market. So it's like you can be a bad, crappy investor and flipper and still make money. It was going up so fast. It's all speculation. You're playing the stock market. It could be so bad. You can be such a bad operator that you still make money. Okay. So that time is gone. Phoenix, it was forgiving then, not forgiving anymore. So you have to change. You got to really think about this. So you got to get off the emotional decisions, right? Like, I just want it to be my education. If I lose a few $1,000s, it's like going to college. Or you get, bad contractor choices. You don't have systems in place. You over improve it. I hear that all the time. It's like it's not your art project, right? You can't say, I like that floor. If I like those floor, I like those cabinets. That you have to understand that you got to do what the market wants. You got to do what the people going to live in that house and the general people in that neighborhood want is what you have to do. So I see people over improving, doing their own style, their own cool ideas, right? And then with all that tied in, not being an entrepreneur or business owner, it's unfortunate, but it doesn't work out. Okay. Another big part of that is, when you don't know your numbers or you don't know what a good deal is, and then all the things I'm telling you, you overpay for the property. Sometimes you lost money since day one. You lost money when you bought it. And just so you know, you make your money when you buy it, right? Because you understand the opposite of everything I went over, right? You know how to do all that. So it really could be lucrative, and it is a great business. I do encourage it, right? But let's get the foundation. Let's get the fundamentals. Let's get you around the right people. Let's get you in the right class, the right network, the right information, so you could properly do this and succeed and get that $50,000, $80,000 check. In today's market, at the time of this recording, on average, if you just wanted to kind of understand how much people make, it's 10% of list. So what's the ARV, after repair value? So if you list the house for sale when it's all fixed up and done at $500,000, you should be able to make at least $50,000 out. It could be more, right? Because you make your money on the buy. If you could run an efficient crew, you could run efficient timelines, stay on budget, buy the property right, it all pans out. Okay. So what should your first deal, right? You want to learn some fundamental skills. So negotiating, I guess kind of went over that, right? Knowing who you are as an investor. What are you willing to take on? So you got to know how to negotiate with homeowners. There's 3 ways to find a deal: homeowners, wholesalers, and real estate agents, right? So know how to find a deal, know how to locate them and negotiate good deals. You do that by understanding who you are as an investor. As a new investor, new flipper, I wouldn't take on these projects. Look for like cookie cutter homes, man, stucco, tile roofs, newer built homes where you're doing paint and flooring and some appliances, maybe changing out the lights, the electrical sockets, right? Like something not too overbearing. Do it in a pretty good neighborhood, right? Do it, when you have those houses with less renovation, like, yeah. Oh yeah, what I wanted to say was inspection period. If you're new, get an inspection period. I highly recommend getting an inspector to go through that property for you, because when you buy from a wholesaler, 99.9% of the time it's like $5K down, non-refundable cashier's check, no inspection period, it's yours. End up backing out and not closing, you lose the $5K. Not for everybody, right? Get yourself in positions, maybe buying from an agent, or trying to negotiate with a wholesaler to get an inspection period, or going direct to seller. That's where you can create that. You get an inspection period and you get a home inspector to go through it. They go through it with a fine-tooth comb. You're going to get this report. You're going to look like the house is not worth it, but it's just minor stuff that you can fix, unless they do find something major, foundational, electrical, we call big ticket items, electrical, plumbing, AC, roof, right, foundation. So maybe that inspector, $600 on an inspector will save, and you could then back out during the inspection period. You don't lose any money, right? That $600 was worth it versus getting into losing tens of thousands of dollars. So I always recommend lighter rehabs if you are going to jump in, and get an inspection period, do your due diligence, and if you are working with 2 people you probably should really have around you is a good contractor. Always recommend using a general contractor on your first few flips so you'll figure out the game, right? So get a contractor by your side and get a good real estate agent that's going to be selling the house. They're going to tell you what the after repair value is, which you still should have that skill of comping properties, to verify they're right, but they're your pro. They know how to sell the house. They're going to know if it needs to be staged and what it should look like. They're going to be able to give you advice as to what the other neighbors are selling for. This is stuff you should be doing and learning as well, but they're going to tell you about the neighborhood, what sells, how long it should take to sell, what it could sell for. Like even if you are an agent, I do think it's okay. Like nothing wrong with being an agent. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're going in to say, hey, I'm going to save my 2%, 3%, yeah, you're right. You will. You could probably save that on the buyer and on the sell. You'll save some money, make some more money. I like the idea about it. On your first few, like, you want pros. You want that agent that works with fix and flip properties and sells them quickly, good, right? Like, so, like, I'd rather have you pay that percentage. Like, it doesn't matter if you're paying extra for the contractor, extra for the agent up front, but it's getting done right, right? They're liable for their jobs. They're going to do it right. They're pros, and you're more likely going to win on that deal because you have that. That means you just need to know your numbers. What's the ARV, right? Minus all your costs, right? That's how you don't use this 70% rule and all these rules on these deals. You go, it's worth 500,000 minus agent to buy and sell, right? Agent closing costs, concessions, renovation, hard money costs, loan costs, profit, right? Like you got to know every line going all the way down, right? And then have a padding, just in case something goes wrong, right? And then that's your offer. Like don't just wing numbers because someone told you a formula online. That's for pros. They know every single line item going all the way backwards. And if you could truly get the property bought at that price, and then you have a pro real estate, you have a pro contractor, everyone's doing their job, then you're going to learn so much during that process. And you're confident you bought it right, where it's going to be able to help you weather any storms, right? So that's truly the winning formula to succeed. We'll teach you that here at AZREIA. We have my wife Dominique, she works with tons of fix and flippers. They get deals done, man. They make money and they keep doing the whole goal. Like then my wife would do if you use her as an agent. It's like, not how do I help you with your flip? How do we get you to do 10 flips? Right? This relationship is 10 flips. So what do we got to do to start now to make you succeed, right? So it's like you want people that think like that's who you'll find here at AZREIA, right? So let's just say, I started off in the episode like, don't do it, right? So if you're not ready to do the flip, you're like, you know what, maybe Mike is right. Maybe I will listen to him, right? What should you do then? Well, then what do you want me to do? Well, here's what I want you to do. You can look into wholesaling real estate. You might hear little money, no money, little credit, no credit, less risk, all this great stuff. Make 5K, 10K, 30 days, all this great. Those slogans that you hear. It's real. Wholesaling is real. You're basically finding the owner that needs to sell their house. They don't want to sell. They need to. We don't have time for that today, but they need to sell, where you get the property under contract at a price that a fix and flipper would pay, or under that price, right? So if a flipper, remember I went down to line items, if that number's $300,000 for the general fix and flipper in Phoenix, well, anything under $300,000 is your payday, right? So you get it under contract with a piece of paper. So now you control that property. Now you look for the fix and flipper, right? So you got it at $290, knowing generally a flipper will pay $300, and then you find the fix and flipper at AZREIA, all cash buyers here, right? So it's like you come and you find the flipper, and they'll pay the $300. 10 goes to you, $290 goes to the seller. You didn't go to the bank. You didn't use your credit, right? Yeah. It's like, and you didn't even have to flip the house, right? You never even bought the house, right? So you controlled property with paper. So you're really flipping contracts. You're really flipping paper versus houses, okay? So wholesaling is a good way to get into business. We have that here. Creative finance, right? So we just did a 2-day creative finance workshop. Awesome class, man. Awesome speakers from Moan, Brandon, and directed IRA, talked about IRAs. Alden at Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, he talked about notes. Like, so much to real estate. And you can use these strategies to acquire property, even if it's a flip. But let's just say, let's go back really quick to the person I want to flip to ultimately buy a rental, right? Okay, you could just use these strategies. So if I don't have a lot of money down, whatever it is, that's where subject to seller carryback, options, lease options, all this stuff you got to learn, which would help you acquire a rental property so you can avoid the wholesale or the fix and flipping, because that's very involved. You have to participate. It's a lot of time, energy. You got to be very active. Okay, so sometimes if you're working full time, you got soccer practice, all this stuff for the kids, and it's just, I'm gonna go hunt for deals and houses and evaluate and comp properties and write offers. Right? That's why you could still become that landlord without going the wholesale flip route. Now, if you go to azreia.org/ESA, it's our entrepreneurial assessment. It's like 25 questions. It's free, and it'll help gauge if you should be active investor or passive investor. So we've been around for 22 years helping the real estate investing community. So it's like, we know what you're thinking, right? So we know what's going on. So we ask you the question. So if you have a low score, you should be passive. Doesn't mean you fail, just passive. If you have a high score, that means you could take on a fix and flip project or whatever it is. So now it helps you gauge, like, where should I take my education? Where should I network, right? So check that out. So meaning you can use creative finance to get into some of these rental properties, right, without having to use the bank, right? So there's a whole world out there that you can learn and understand. Rental, okay. You could potentially, some of you don't even realize that you could probably buy a rental right now. You might just be a little scared to do it. There's a lot of rental programs out there. There's like DSCR loans that don't even look at your W-2 and your tax history, right? So, but you do have to put like 20-25% down. So you have that. Or like, I don't reckon, you always want to quit your job, but I've seen a lot of people just, I want to get in the real estate. I'm going in. I'm going to wholesale fix and flip because I want to be a renter. So I quit my job. I go all in. I got money saved. Boom. Everything goes upside down. They never become a landlord. When it's like, hey man, you could have just kept your job and used your credit and your job history and your income, and rather than going through that world of wholesale and flipping, and just went and bought a house. We have a member. They went down. Will, if you're out there, man, I hope you're doing well. He went out and bought Santan Valley, right? I think it was low 300s, low interest rate, 3.9 or something, 4 something. And he's cash flowing. And it's a brand new house. And what happens when you buy a brand new house? For the first 3 to 5 years, you have less maintenance. Rents it out. Done. He did it. Now he can go save up money and buy another one. Or he can learn the creative strategies, right? And raise money, borrow money, and go buy another one. You don't have to wait and save up another 60 grand at work. You can do it faster. However, I'm also all about buying one house at a time. Hey, if you want to buy one house a year, go for it. Just got to buy a house. We got to get out of that thinking of, you hear, the guys online, Grant Cardone, all this stuff. Don't buy a house. Don't buy it. It's a liability. It's a waste of money. That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm telling you, man, my house, I have a house in Central Phoenix. The mortgage payment's $1,300. Bought it for $200,000. It's worth about $700,000. And if you want to rent in that neighborhood, it's $3,000. Hey, if you're 20 years old, 23 years old, yeah, it's responsibility. Yeah, you got to be responsible to own the house. Yeah, you got bills. Yeah, you got to fix something up. Whatever, that's life, man. Like, yeah, but when 10 years from now, if you're 23, 22 now, you're 33 and you're starting a young family, right? Now you kick the tenants out. Not saying kick out, but you can stop, not renew the lease and move in. Now you got a mortgage payment from 10 years ago. Come on, man. Like, my son's 19. That mortgage is $1,300. If he has a kid in 5-7 years, whatever it is, they're moving in that house. They're paying $1,300 while everyone else is paying $3,000 to live. That's helping. It's unfortunate that that's where we're at in life, with where the market is at. I encourage you, as even the parents or whatever, or future parents, think about your future. Think about your retirement, right? Like, say real estate doesn't work out for me. Well, I know when I'm 62, I got a $1,300 mortgage payment. So whatever, however you want to look at it. I know a lot of you are probably like, oh, I'm going to build an empire. I'm going to have a yacht. I don't need to worry about that. That's fine too, man. Everyone's always like that. You know, like, you need to buy a house. You need to buy a house now. We'll show you how to do it. So buy the rental. You can buy a rental right now. You just got to have education. You just got to understand what's out. If you don't get out of the house, you don't come to the meetings and talk to people that are actually doing it, right? Another one's house hacking, right? You can buy a fourplex, live in one, get a 3.5% down, live in one unit, rent out the other three. The other three should cover your mortgage. Or at least if it doesn't, you're gonna have cheaper. You're gonna pay some of that mortgage, but you're gonna be paying like $300, $500 a month versus paying $2,000 for a studio downtown, right? So it's like, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that loan, but you're not gonna learn how to do that if you're just not being a learner and not coming out and meeting people doing it and seeing how it actually happens and learning from other people that made a mistake while they were doing it or whatever it may be. So there's that house hacking. So we said you can just have a good job right now. Don't quit your job. Go buy a rental. You can get in the game. You can buy a new build. You can use creative ways to get into these properties and still get the rental. You can do the house hacking. So we just went over 3 quick ways. You could actually just buy a rental now. You just got to apply yourself. We showed you wholesaling. So if you did want to low barrier entry and learn the business, take it one step at a time. Wholesaling is another way to you figure out. Once you get good at finding deals, you're going to be able to ultimately having the skill of finding off-market properties at a discount. That's a skill that no one could take away from. Some people just like flippers and landlords. Sometimes they just don't want to know that, and they just rather buy from an agent and wholesaler, which is cool. But if you have that skill of finding properties that are vacant and holes in the roof, and someone knows they don't have the money to fix it up and they just hate the house, and you can get it at 50 cents on the dollar, just need a few of those, right? So let us show you how to do that. So some takeaways that I would say from this episode are know your investor identity. Know who you are. I want to be a landlord. I want to be a flipper. Know who you are. Then once you know who you are, know what a real deal is. So if you want to be a flipper, know what a good deal is as a flipper. I like properties in 85032 that are built over 1975, so I don't have to worry about the plumbing. I want a 2-car garage. I want a pool. That's your product. Okay, so now go learn that neighborhood. Understand exactly what a deal is for that product, right? Stick to lower rehabs, right? Don't get into these big knocking down walls, adding square footage, right? Keep it minimal at first. Get an inspection period. Get a good real estate agent, a good contractor. Get a home inspector. See what's going on. And this is all you're going to learn a lot doing all that. Learn how to talk to people, negotiate. Once you know what a deal is, learn how to present that offer, right? And you got to write offers. Whether your agent's writing offers or you're writing offers, writing an offer is the highest income generating activity you could possibly be doing in real estate investing. So if you're saying, oh, I can't find deals, I never find deals, how many offers did you write? And out of those offers that you wrote, or those homeowners that you talked to, or those agents that had a deal that you talked to, how many of them have you followed up with or checked in with or rewrote your offer, right? Whatever it is, or reanalyze the deal. How often are you doing those things? Writing the offer and following up. That's your answer. If you did it 5 times this month, you're not going to have any deals next month either. Okay. Partner with somebody. That could be a good one, right? Maybe you're bringing the deal to the table. Maybe you get paid for bringing the deal to the table. Maybe you bring that deal to a seasoned investor. You get a little fee and you cut a deal to say, hey, let me learn, right? I'll even bring you the next deal, right? Show me the ropes. That is the agreement. It's part of your payment for bringing that person the deal. That could be like a partnership. Maybe you have money, right? Maybe you find a reputable operator, right? Here at AZREIA, we have operators. So I always say there's 2 parts of every deal: knowledge and time, and money and credit, right? We come here to learn to be the operator, which is knowledge and time, right? So that means you have the agents, contractors, attorneys, insurance companies, handyman, AC person, lawyer, whatever it is. You have everything in place to take a property that doesn't function into a revitalized property that does function and offer and brings profit, right? So that's a skill. There's people with money that don't have that. They want to be in real estate. They don't have the time to do that. So they come here and they at AZREIA and look for people that are good at it. So maybe you have some money. Maybe you have an IRA, which a directed IRA with Nate, right? So maybe you have one over there just sitting there and it's not earning any money. You could come and find someone to lend that money to, that, make sure they're reputable and pros at what they do. You'll get a return on that money, and maybe the part of the deal is you'll learn a little bit. So you could bring your money to the table, you could bring deals to the table, whatever it may be. So focus on finding houses, man. Like if you could find a deal, and you know what a deal is, the opportunities present themselves. So most people don't fail in real estate because of the lack of opportunity. They fail because they take the hardest path, right? Jump into fix and flipping, not knowing, right, or what to expect because it looks sexy and you can make big chunks of money. So went over some takeaways of what you can do now and how you can succeed in real estate. So I appreciate you hanging out with me on this episode. I wrote a 12 email series, 12 essential steps to becoming a real estate investor. So you can go to azreia.org/12 steps, 12 steps. I'll personally respond to you. I always encourage you to reply and ask a question or tell me what you're working on. It's all, this business is all relationships. It's just another way for me to serve and help and create new relationships with you, right? So also love to have you join AZREIA and be a member. Lots of discounts around becoming a member and benefits besides the people and everything we went over and education. And our monthly meetings on the second Monday of every month at Venue 8600 in Scottsdale. So head to azreia.org/calendar, see what meetings we have. Get out of the car, get off the couch, stop listening for a moment, and go shake some hands, meet some real people that are actually doing it, and take the next step. So that's it. That's a wrap for the AZREIA Show.
Passive, really I think this massive. Stable cash flow, lavish. All the finance for the masses. This 14% in manufactured housing. Really, all the deals I be doing is kinda hard to keep on counting. Not really. 10% for the year. It's clear this the new way. Little competition in my arena. Need a house cost arena strategy.
For 10 to 14% returns, invest today with Silvercrest Opportunity Fund.
10% passive, the checks I blind on with collateral.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Del Prete. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to azreia.org and learn more about our community.